recording sessions then at the Columbia Record Studio, okay? And you never know what would happen with Horowitz. He could explode of a sudden, you know. And boy, God help you, you know. And one day in the recorder, Franz, you go out there, help him. He's killing himself. One day he jumped up, you know what he did? He got mad at himself and doesn't come out, you know, whatever. And jumps up and he hits the stick here. It comes out of the groove. You know, he was so strong. And, you know, the top tumbling down. You know, and I said, well, I'm not going out. You know, he married Wanda Toscanini and Horowitz, and the two, they were quite a couple. But Horowitz would not have been possible without Wanda, you know. I talked about it yesterday. Whoever tuned that piano, did you?
I did on Thursday, yes.
Yeah, very good tuning.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, I love it, you know. When I think about tuning, you know, and I have a book, in my book I write a whole chapter on this, you know, tuning and solid tuning, how important it is, and I teach all the time that the tuning must be so solid that the piano is after the concert in tune as it was before the concert. You know, and unfortunately, the tunings are not so great anymore. Even in Germany, you know, I was with Lang, and we are good friends, Lang. We selected the piano for an important concert hall in Arizona. But, and it was in Hanover. I couldn't believe it, the piano was so, I always thought the world of the German tuners, but that piano was out of tune. I couldn't believe it, it was terrible. And the paper wrote about it, you know. But Lang was so excited to meet me again. We talked and all this. Didn't say a word about this terrible out of tune piano. And this happens all the time. So I always thought the world of our my German colleagues, you know, that they do a good solid tuning. But in Japan, they are excellent tuners, you know, solid tuners. It's wonderful. So I teach us all the best time is no good if it is out of tune, this kind of thing. Well, and Horowitz was funny in a way. It took a while before I understood as a piano technician how to regulate Horowitz action, you know. And I had to feel my way through. See, it doesn't work. He had very fast fingers, you know. And finally I made the repetition spring so strong. No other human being would have been able to play that piano, you know, because if you would play pianissimo, you know, the hammer would dance. And how he controls that is amazing, you know. And after his death, I had to change certain things in the piano because he didn't let anyone play his piano either. And he was funny about this, and people knowing this. But one day he said, my good friend Meridian plays at Abbey Fisher Hall. He said, you know, we are good friends. Entirely different pianist, but I like his playing, you know. This was always. And he said he plays, and he is the only one who can give him my piano. And you know, he was so thrilled, Meridian, that Horowitz let him play his own piano. And he never forget it. We are there and he played the Haydn Sonata first. And he comes off the stage. Franz, I can't handle it. I can't control that piano. It's such an individual thing, you know. But he was the only one. And then we are sitting together at the Metropolitan Museum of Art, and Meridian is conducting me on the piano. So Horowitz calls me over to his place, and he said, Franz, tell that boy he should play the piano and not conduct it. I said, Maestro, you better tell him yourself. And it's funny, later on we are good friends. I told Murray that, you know, he said he is right. He is Israel, you know. But finally I understood how I had to handle Horowitz piano as a technician. And then I was #1 in his life. Well, I would, before a concert, would say, Franz, I see you, everything will be fine now, this kind of thing. You are #1. He said, you are the most important person here. No, I said, Maestro, you are, you know, but is any Steinway well regulated and tuned, any good if it is silent? No, you know, if the piano is not light, I'm not going to play this kind of thing. He is the reason for the book. I wanted to tell yesterday's story, but I didn't. I never thought about a book. But we were always had his comeback concert in Moscow on April 20th, 86. Okay, and it was amazing. That concert, you know, people ask me what was the most important concert, you know, you ever tuned for, and of course that was Moscow. And there came people to the concert who still remembered him, you know, when he was a young Steinway artist. And he ran from Russia with 1,000 rubles in my shoes, he tells me, you know. And he came to Berlin, and of course he became very, very famous. So from there we went to Leningrad, you know, and a tremendous success. When we went to, well, we went to Helsinki, we went to Berlin. Tremendous success, of course, like everywhere else, you know. And it was wonderful. We were at the Kempinski Hotel together, and who was there to Woody Circle? And they met downstairs, you know, in the lobby. And we left them alone, and they had the greatest time of their lives talking to each other, you know. And they were good friends, you know, and I miss Woody Circle too. But anyhow, so he played, and the next concert was in Hamburg, but 2 weeks from then, you know, from Berlin. So I called Elizabeth, my wife. They said, yeah, I come home for a week. You know, we were on tour for such a long time. I come home to New York for a week and I fly to Hamburg for the next concert. That's what I thought. But it was, then Peter Gelb calls me. I'm just in New York, home. You know, we live on Long Island, not far from Kennedy Airport. But Peter Gelb's impresario of always calls me from Berlin. Franz, you have to come back. You have to come back to Berlin. He said, always they even moved one concert and canceled it or moved it on. You know, he plays this Sunday too in Berlin. Well, he said, you come on. Be there on Thursday. He made me a reservation. We all stayed at the Kempinski Hotel in Berlin. And you must understand Horowitz's sense of humor, which he had. And we always had dinner together. You know, like with no other artist, we always had dinner together after the rehearsal on Saturdays. We went out for a big dinner somewhere, you know, and it was amazing. I remember when I started with Horowitz, he would still smoke one cigarette after the concert. But he was not a smoker. It was funny. He picks his cigarette like this, with 2 fingers. And he drank a glass of wine too, and it took him a long time. Finally, he did not drink wine anymore. But he made the selection at the dinner, you know. And it took him a long time. Then he would say, how is my wine tonight? Well, what would you say? Maestro, fantastic selection. It's perfect for the meal. What can you say? Yeah, you know. But anyhow, so we had in a private setup with his friends, and you know, it was all entourage. We traveled with him. The doctor with his wife, impresario with his wife, you know, and all those people, and Julian, her husband, and all this. And sometimes Elizabeth was with me too, you know. And but anyhow, so he was already sitting there in a private